All right. Well, there's new evidence that suggests Jeffrey Epstein could be alive. That's right. We now have a DOJ draft press release that was dated the day before he died, saying he died of an apparent suicide. Released the day before he died. Drafted the day before he died, I should say. We have a strange person now entering the cell a day before. Footage of that. That was released by CBS. Bari Weiss's CBS, nonetheless, which leads us to many questions about if he's alive. They want us to know he's alive. Why would that be? Also, medical records showing Epstein was transferred out of his cell the day before his death, a Fortnite gaming account showing activity well after Epstein's death, and images of what looks like Epstein hanging out in Israel have now surfaced. Here's one of those photos you're seeing there on the screen. Here's another one. People are saying this looks like Jeffrey Epstein hanging out in Israel. Okay, is the guy alive? Let's go through what we have at this point. Let's start off with this image. So this is an image that is known of Jeffrey Epstein. You notice a tattoo on his arm. Well, what people noticed about his body is you should be able to see the tattoo at the very bottom, at least a little bit of the tattoo at the very bottom of this screen. There should be a tattoo there. And people are saying, where's the tattoo? This body is not Jeffrey Epstein. There were people that pointed out the ears look different. The nose is shaped differently. The excuses we got was that, well, after death, people start to, shrivel up and die. And so they look different, which is true. But these photographs were taken mere hours after his death, moments after his death. And at that point, bodies don't change that drastically in that period of time. It takes a bit more time than that. And so doesn't really give a good explanation as to why his nose is shaped differently, why his ears are shaped differently, and more importantly, why is the tattoo suddenly missing? Some are saying, well, he got the tattoo removed. That's what happened. There's some evidence in the emails that he was looking to get his tattoo removed, and there were some other images that look like he was in the process of removing the tattoo. So maybe, okay, fine, fair enough. But how do we explain all this other stuff? Now, this came out from CBS News. This is Bari Weiss, who is now the editor-in-chief of CBS News. This comes out. Who entered Epstein's jail tier the night of his death? Newly released video logs appear to contradict official accounts. So they've got evidence of somebody entering the prison. And here's the picture that they have. This is from the video. This is the orange jumpsuit. Somebody's going in there, and this is something that was not reported on. In fact, they said nobody went in and out. Now there's evidence that somebody did. So CBS News is saying newly released Department of Justice documents show that investigators reviewing surveillance footage from the night of Jeffrey Epstein's death observed an orange-colored shape moving up a staircase toward the isolated locked tier where his cell was located at approximately 10:39 on August 9th. That entry in an observation log of the video from the Metropolitan Correctional Center appears to suggest something previously unreported by authorities. A flash of orange looks to be going up the L-tier stairs, could possibly be an inmate escorted up to that tier. It also appears, according to an FBI memorandum, that reviews by investigators led to disparate conclusions by the FBI and those examining the same video from the Department of Justice's Office of Inspector General. The FBI log describes the fuzzy image as possibly an inmate. And the FBI analysis of video footage describes possibly an inmate moving up the stairs. And the Inspector General logs it as an officer carrying orange linen or bedding, noting it in their final report as unidentified. So they're saying, it could have just been somebody carrying some orange bedding, and somebody else is saying, that looks like a person wearing orange, but it's all fuzzy. We don't really know. But nonetheless, it contradicts the official narrative that they gave us. I'm going to go back to here at the end. I'm going to show you the evidence, and then I'm going to go circle back to, it's interesting that Bari Weiss's CBS News is reporting, basically giving us more suspicion that Jeffrey Epstein is alive, right? I mean, that's what this is kind of like, or somebody did try to kill him or did kill him, he didn't. So basically that the official narrative is wrong, planting the seeds of doubt. Why would, now Bari Weiss has been heavily accused many times of being a Mossad asset, even though she sits there and says, what is Mossad? I don't even know what Mossad is. And so why would this accused Mossad asset want to sow some doubt in the official narrative? That's a good question, and we'll circle back to that. I have my theories. You may have seen the conversations happening online lately. Censorship is back, and it's happening everywhere. Platforms are controlling narratives and pushing the stuff they want us to see. We need to fight back. Rumble is the only company that has stood the test of time and deserves our support. On one side, Rumble is challenging big tech censorship, but now on the other side, they have introduced something that will give us protection from the big banks shutting us off. Banks can cancel our accounts and freeze our cards, so that's why they launched Rumble Wallet, a wallet that no one can cancel and a wallet that supporters can use to instantly tip creators like myself without any middlemen taking cuts. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company, not even Rumble can touch it. It's yours, only yours. Yours to protect your future and family. You can buy and save digital assets like Bitcoin and Tether Gold in one place. Tether Gold is real gold on the blockchain with ownership of physical gold bars. It's not only a wallet to buy and save, but it also allows you to support your favorite creators by easily tipping them with the click of a button. There'll be no fees when you tip my channel or others, and we actually receive the tip instantly, unlike other platforms where we have to wait for payouts. So support my show and other creators by clicking the tip button on my Rumble channel. It's also wallet.rumble.com to download the Rumble wallet today, open account, and step away from the big banks for good. Again, wallet.rumble.com or search Rumble Wallet in the app stores. Here's this also. This also was discovered in the Epstein files, the latest release of the Epstein files. This is a Department of Justice press release draft. The problem with this draft is it is dated August 9th. Jeffrey Epstein died August 10th. So this says for immediate release, Friday, August 9th, 2019. This is the U.S. Attorney's Office. Says the death of defendant Jeffrey Epstein. Manhattan U.S. Attorney Jeffrey S. Berman said earlier this morning, the Manhattan Correctional Center confirmed that Jeffrey Epstein, who faced charges brought by this office of engaging in sex trafficking of minors, had been found unresponsive in his cell and pronounced dead shortly thereafter. Today's events are disturbing, and we are deeply aware of their potential to present yet another hurdle to giving Epstein's many victims their day in court. To those brave young women who have already come forward and to the many others who have yet to do so, let me reiterate that we remain committed to standing for you, and our investigation in the conduct charged in the indictment, which included a conspiracy count, remains ongoing. Okay. Strange, this press release was August 9th, drafted, and Jeffrey Epstein wasn't found until August 10th. Actually, let me look up real quick. What time was Jeffrey Epstein found on August 10th? Was he found in the morning? Because this press release says, so he was found in the morning, but August 10th, and this says August 9th. Now, some people say, well, this is just a typo. They forgot to change the date. But Friday, August 9th is Friday, August 9th. It is not Friday, August 10th. Friday, August 9th was Friday, August 10th was Saturday. So it wasn't just a typo of one, number. It would have had to be a typo of the entire date. So, or they just knew in advance, or they thought he was going to die one day earlier, they thought, than he actually did. Or didn't. That's the whole point of this, right? We're saying he didn't probably die. Not only did he not suicide himself, but it looks like he might not have even died at all. This is an investigative researcher, Destiny Resendez, and she says, according to the Bureau of Prisons medical records, Jeffrey Epstein had been transferred out of the prison the night he died to an external hospital. I ran all 101 pages of his medical file dated August 10th of 2019 through AI to confirm that he was transferred, and the AI confirmed he was indeed transferred out. This would make the 4chan Reddit leaked post on August 10th, 2019 make a lot of sense, as the person leaking the details said they saw Epstein being transferred out in a wheelchair right before he unalived himself. And this is the medical report. And it is true. I looked at this medical report as well, read through it intently, and it does show that he was transferred out on August 9th. And that is odd because they claimed that that didn't happen. I mean, they were saying that the official narrative was that Epstein was housed in MCC Manhattan, that he was alone in his cell, that his cellmate had been removed earlier. He was supposed to be on special monitoring, but guards failed to conduct required checks. Some checks were falsely logged. Guards later said that they were sleeping and browsing the internet, right? They're claiming in the records that no one entered his cell. That's what they were claiming. This is the official narrative. No one entered his cell. Now CBS says, well, actually, we got a figure kind of going up into the cell. They said that there was no unusual movement. They said that there was no suspicious activity, right? And then Epstein's found unresponsive in his cell at 6:30 in the morning, August 10th. He's discovered hanging with a bed sheet around his neck, although we're going to get into that because it turns out they don't know what happened to the noose. That's another suspicious thing. Where's the noose? Nobody knows. What do you mean there's no noose? They said that CPR was attempted and then he was transferred to the hospital after he was dead. There was no mention of a prior medical transfer. There's no mention of him being taken out of the unit earlier. There's no mention of a hospital visit before being found unresponsive. There's no mention of this, and yet that is exactly what this document is claiming, that he was removed, that he was taken out for a medical, that he was transferred out. And what's crazy about this is, and this is the log here saying that he was transferred out. This is the anonymous 4chan poster that came out the day, August 10th. And this person, we now know who this person is. This is Robert Grijalva. He's a Metropolitan Correctional Center officer. And he claimed this on a 4chan anonymously. He posted it, but now we know who it is. And he says, not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me. But last night after 4:15 count, they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not release on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing. The trip van did not sign in and we did not record the plate number. And a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van, according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I'm shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. And that was an eyewitness person. And that now correlates with this document that shows he was taken out at 7 is when this document shows that, I would imagine 7 in the morning. So they're saying that he was transferred out at 4:15 in the morning, it seems like, is what this guard is claiming. And then this medical record is timestamped at 7 a.m. And then Jeffrey Epstein's found dead the next morning, supposedly at 6:30. After we see video of a strange orange figure being moved up into that cell the day before his death. So that would seem like potentially somebody was switched out. And especially if the guards were not doing their routine checks. So there you are not doing your checks. Why not? Well, because they, whoever drugged you so you fell asleep, or, the cameras aren't working, all these things that are very suspicious in the story. Well, if they switched the guy out and it wasn't him actually in that cell, it was somebody who looked a lot like him, but not actually him, well then, you wouldn't want people to see. You wouldn't want the cameras working. You wouldn't want the guards doing the rounds. You'd want them to suspiciously fall asleep or neglect their job or things like that. That's what you'd want. Because you wouldn't want anybody to be like, that's not him. I mean, yeah, it kind of looks like him, but that's not actually him. You wouldn't want that. So you'd want to have as little actual interaction and checking in on him as possible. You wouldn't want a cellmate. You wouldn't want any of that if you're switching the guy out. So this is all kind of pointing to he got switched out. And then, the death pictures. It doesn't look like him. It's a little bit different. Looks kind of like him, but not quite. So who was this person they ushered in to kill? And is that what they did? I mean, I wouldn't put it past. These are extremely powerful people. That's what we're learning from the Epstein files. Also, there's this medical report this report in the Epstein files that was released. This is from file EFTA 00141124. Quote, in order to thwart the media, this is what they're claiming, redacted, redacted, and redacted, used boxes and sheets to create what appeared to be a human body, which was put into the white OCME vehicle, which the press followed, allowing the black vehicle to depart unnoticed with Epstein's body. Okay, that's just kind of weird too. But, they're like, well, we wanted to thwart the media. Okay, that seems like, okay. Some of these, you're like, okay, yeah, maybe you got the tattoo removed. Okay, yeah, they wanted to thwart the media with the boxes. Okay, yeah, the cameras just weren't working. He didn't have a cellmate. The guards fell asleep. Okay, yeah, a minute missing in the footage. Remember that minute that just bleeps out? We don't see that minute of footage after they released it saying, we're the most transparent presidency in all of history. And then a minute is missing from the 12-hour video that they release, right? And now there's this. Where's the news? Here's Glenn Beck. He tells the story well, so we're going to listen to him ask the question of where the hell is the news?
Thomas told investigators he discovered Epstein in his cells shortly after 6:30 a.m. on August 10th, and that he ripped Epstein down from the hanging position. Investigators asked, what happened to the noose? What happened to the noose? Have you heard any of this before? What happened to the noose? Quote, I don't recall taking the noose off. I really don't. I don't recall taking the thing from around his neck. Noelle, who remained standing at the cell entrance, told investigators she saw Thomas lower Epstein to the floor, but did not see a noose around his neck. The noose Epstein allegedly used has never been identified. According to the Inspector General's report, a noose collected at the scene was later determined not to be the noose used in Epstein's death. Okay, all right. First you had us believe that it was a paper noose. Now you're saying the paper noose that was found was not the noose that killed him. In fact, you can't find the noose, the paper noose. And this one was later added to the scene. By whom? By whom? By whom? By whom? By whom? Thomas also described Epstein as shirtless when they found him. Evidence records indicate a shirt believed to have been cut from Epstein's body was later returned from the hospital in a bag of personal stuff. New documents also show that New York City's Office of the Chief Medical Examiner reviewed the jail surveillance footage 6 days after the death as part of his investigation, but concluded the video was too blurry to identify any individuals. Hours later, the office publicly ruled Epstein's death a suicide. Wait, you don't have the murder-suicide weapon. The weapon that you do have, the noose, is not the noose that killed him. No explanation on how that arrived later at the scene. You have a blurry figure. I don't care that you can't identify. You have a blurry figure going up in the middle of the night, and you can't identify that individual, but it's a blurry figure going up, and yet you rule this a suicide. That is fascinating to me.
Fascinating to me, too. So not only do, right there, what we have is we just have a lot of evidence that this wasn't a suicide, right? But we're going a step further now and saying, I just don't even think the guy's dead. I actually think that the guy's switched out, like people had been claiming all along, and that there is a high probability that he was switched out. And now we've got more evidence that seems to allude even more to that, rather than just he didn't suicide himself. More evidence. Fortnite. Okay, so Fortnite is I'm not super familiar with it, but I know it's a game. Kids play it, and they're really super into it. And apparently Jeffrey Epstein was into Fortnite also. And there was an account that he had created on YouTube at one point, and his handle was Little Saint Jeff 1. And somebody then recently just realized, wait a minute, that same handle is being used on Fortnite, which is a game that Jeffrey Epstein played. And now, when we've got this latest batch of emails and we're seeing some things, people are like, wait a minute, that handle has been used and lately. This is the handle, and it even has a flag of Israel in the photograph. And so this is, it looks like the activity, the activity on this is, so he was killed, supposedly, or died, or whatever you want to say, or disappeared, August 10th of 2019. The Epstein files show that his YouTube account was Little Saint Jeff 1. And now the files showed that he used the same username on the video game Fortnite, and he was an avid player, showing frequent in-game purchases in his email chain. And also the Fortnite tracker shows that this account reached Silver 1, which is level 4 of 9 to 1 or 2, 3. I don't know. I don't understand it, okay, of the levels and stuff of Fortnite. But basically, in the game Chapter 5, Season 1, that wasn't released, and he was like had past levels on it. That wasn't released until December 3rd of 2023, which is many years. You know, if he died in 2019, and this is in 2023 when it was released, you connect the dots there, unless his ghost is out there playing Fortnite. Hey, I don't know. It's pretty popular. Maybe it's popular with ghosts. And they're saying that this ran, that game ran from December 3rd of 2023 until March 8th of 2024. And it showed that his account was playing from Israel in 2024, 4 years after his death. Okay. Now, Fortnite says, oh, this isn't true. They seem to be covering, and they say, hey, official Fortnite here. This was a ruse by a Fortnite player. A few days ago, an existing Fortnite account owner changed their username from something totally unrelated to Little Saint Jeff 1, following the revelation of Little Saint Jeff 1 as a name on YouTube. These Fortnite trackers only display your current name, not any prior changes to it. We have no record of the subject's email addresses referenced in the public document existing in the Epic account system. Since the public document releases, people have created Fortnite accounts with similar looking email addresses and other usernames and end usernames. However, so Fortnite comes out with this, but they get community noted. And the community note, which has been since deleted, says, this explanation does not hold true when reviewing Fortnite GG 2025 Wrapped, showing the username tied to the game played in 2025. UID was consistent in 2025. See the alleged Epstein name, same name listed in Wrapped. See player with a recent name change, previous name in Wrapped. So they're saying this has been community noted and not true. Not to mention they were saying that, he didn't have, there was no account associated with his email, except, and then Fortnite comes back and says, by the way, to the community note, and they're saying this community note is wrong. Fortnite GG Wrapped shows the account's current name with the stats from 2025. This account changed its username a few days ago to Little Saint Jeff 1, so that's the only one that is visible on Wrapped. But what they were previously saying was there was no account associated to Epstein. And yet, in the Epstein files, we see that his account was connected to Fortnite because he was buying V-Bucks, which is, I guess, money that you use in Fortnite. So, May 7th, 2019, the $25.95 charge was for V-Bucks on Fortnite. Now, why would Fortnite lie about this? I looked up the founder. Is the founder an Israeli? Is he a giant Zionist? I don't know. He's not Jewish. I don't think he's an Israeli. Because of that, he is Christian, so I don't know if he's a Christian Zionist, he very well could be, but I think the bigger reason why, if you were Fortnite, you'd want to cover this up and you'd be like, Jeffrey Epstein never used our games, he never used our platform, there is no Jeffrey Epstein here, that's just somebody. Well, because why would pedo want to go onto a game where kids play? Right? So I'm sure he was playing on Roblox and Fortnite and all other games. I'm sure he was there on a lot of platforms trying to entice kids. I'm sure plenty of people, many pedophiles do that, and so that's what I would think happened there. So all of this, that's why they would want to cover it up. I mean, they could be not lying. Maybe it was somebody trolling and whatnot, but Jeffrey Epstein was clearly using Fortnite and could still very much, be using games or doing whatever he was doing previously. And I don't know a lot about Fortnite, but I'm pretty sure kids play it, and that would be a good place to find kids if that's what you were trying to do. So these are some of the things that are showing that Epstein may or may not still be alive. That not only did he not suicide himself, but that the guy didn't die at all. In fact, that he's just hanging out in Israel, There were some other photographs that were circulating online of what looked like Jeffrey Epstein in Israel, but some of those were AI. But a lot of these have been verified to not be AI at all. And I mean, it does look quite a bit like him. So, what we're learning about Jeffrey Epstein is he's extremely powerful. We've learned this from the emails. He was more than just a lackey. I think somebody of that level doesn't just die. I think they disappear. Circling back to why Bari Weiss's CBS would also be leaking, reporting on information of Jeffrey Epstein still being alive. Could be that there's just some actually good journalists still at CBS, of course, and they're doing their job. But if Bari Weiss is truly in control and censoring and editing, then you would want the suspicion of Jeffrey Epstein being alive to be out there. If you were Mossad, for example, if you were the blackmailers, you would want everybody, especially right now when Israel's trying to march us into war with Iran, you would want everybody to be very concerned that Jeffrey Epstein may still be alive and still have a lot of blackmail on you. You feel better that he's dead if you're implicated in some way. You think, oh, okay, well, the guy's dead, so he's not going to talk about that time I was at the island and XYZ thing happened. But if the guy is still alive, and if there's now reports that, and rumblings and rumors and evidence that comes out that looks like Jeffrey Epstein is still alive because he either is still alive or they just want people to think he's still alive. The question is why? And that to me would be because they want people to be afraid and they want them to do exactly what they are supposed to do, which is why the blackmail was collected on them to begin with. So if I were a Mossad asset, not saying that Bari Weiss is, but she is accused of being a Mossad asset. If one was a Mossad asset, my guess is you'd want to play along with that in order to reach your end game. And we all know Bari Weiss absolutely does want to see us go to war with Iran. She thinks it's existential for Israel. So if you're in that mindset, and that would be the motivation for people for it to be coming out that Jeffrey Epstein may actually still be alive. That would be the motivation. There's a lot of pressure to do something that Donald Trump really clearly doesn't want to do. No American really has an appetite for it, and that is war with Iran. So, eyes wide open, everybody. Eyes wide open. Thanks for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you can catch Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, for free at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.